So this week we're going to do some rust repair and some filling of a couple of the trim holes for the trim that we removed from the Eldorado. So yeah, we're going to dive into some time lapses and take care of those problems and do some patch panel work and stuff like that. And then after we get some progress done on that, we'll get back in touch at the end of the video here and talk a little bit about what we did. So yeah, enjoy the coming time lapses and we'll talk about it in a minute. So starting at the back of the Eldorado here, the first panel we repaired is right below the rear window, where there used to be a power antenna installed. Somebody put there years ago. This would not have been a factory location for the antenna on this car, so we got rid of it. And as you can see, it's pretty clean. Ground it down and cleaned it up. It'll fill in nicely with a little bit of body work and nobody will ever even know it was there. So that was the first little patch we did. Coming around the side here, you can see along the bottom of the back of the quarter here, I filled in several of these holes where the original trim used to go across here, and that trim is going to be removed from the vehicle, so we don't need those holes anymore. And then as we move in along the side here, we have a few more that we filled, and then underneath along the rocker panel, along the bottom of the door,
this brings us to the front. Now this was the biggest patch we had to do. There was actually a lot of rust in this one spot here, and in that later video you can see I cut that section out and I made a new patch panel for it, and then welded it in, ground it down, and then filled all the holes around that same area as well. We also got these across the top of the fender filled. And then lastly, as we move forward, we got these trim pieces, or the holes for these trim pieces, filled also. And a little bit of a repair in the bottom corner there where it was broken. So that's what we were working on today. And I think that's going to look pretty good. And as you can see over here, I've kind of been playing around in the dust with my finger to create a little bit of a pattern there. So in my research on these Eldorados, I discovered that in the early 1960s, when they were first designing the Eldorados and the concept cars, they actually had come up with an original design where there was a vent across the top of the fender here in that center section in a similar shape and pattern to that. Now, I really like the idea of putting those vents in these fenders for a couple of reasons. Firstly, we've got a big motor under the hood of this thing, and there's not a lot of places for heat to escape. There's also no real good location for cold air to come in for the intake. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to cut this section of the fender out on both sides and make myself a really nice vent system. So on this side of the vehicle, the driver's side of the vehicle, you can have hot air escape from the inside of the hood or the engine compartment. And then on the passenger side, where it's kind of open in behind the fender, behind that vent, we'll figure out a way to put in a cold air intake coming off the back of the engine and down into that inner fender back there. So we have nice, fresh, cold air coming into the new engine when we get it all put together again. And I'm also, at this point, considering getting rid of this marker light assembly right here. It's not a requirement because we have a dual element bulb in the back of this light housing here, which is amber. So this is your turn signal and your park light. So this is just an indicator or like an extra light. So it doesn't really have a purpose. And I think I might just go ahead and remove this from the vehicle because that's going to look really nice and clean on it. And then, in other news, I'm excited to say that I found on eBay the trim piece for this side of the windshield that we've been missing. And that should be here sometime this coming week. So hopefully next time we make a video in the car, we'll have that new trim piece. And I also found another piece of the car that I've been missing. So as you can see on the back quarter panel here, we have this side marker light. And I'm going to keep these ones because I really like the Cadillac emblem, and the red light will blend nicely with the maroon paint job that we're eventually going to do. But this particular marker light is missing a piece. There should be a little lens over the top of the Cadillac emblem here. On the other side, you can see there's the lens. So it's like a raised clear cover that goes over the top of that light. So I found one of those on eBay as well so that I can replace the missing component on this side. So yeah, we'll have that corner light. We'll have all that extra trim removed from the side of the vehicle. We'll go ahead and we'll put that nice vent set up in the front fender, and we'll get rid of those front park lights on the lower portion of the front fenders here. And I think that's going to really clean up the lines of this vehicle and just give us a really sharp look, especially when all's said and done and I install the headlight doors so that the grille and the headlights are all kind of one unit when the headlights are not in use. I think that's going to look real sharp on this car. and be real stylish for sure.
So in this video and all the time lapses that we did earlier, I didn't show any of the work on the passenger side of the vehicle, and that's mostly just because it's right up against the wall. So when I do that work, you're not really going to be able to see me do a very good job of what I'm doing, and there's no real point in filming that. But on the passenger side, I will be doing the same kind of things, filling those trim holes and any other rust problems that are on that side. And then in the coming videos in the future, I'll take some time lapses of filling in the front marker lights on either side of the front fenders. And then we'll also hopefully get some materials, and we'll start to make those louvers to go into the front fenders, which I think is going to really add some nice style to this thing. And again, kind of ties it back into sort of the history of the car. It's pretty cool that these cars were so closely built to what their original concept vehicle was. And I think it'd be really neat to have that sort of connection to those styling cues that the original concept car had, which was a car that they were, I think, initially debuting somewhere in the like 1963, 1964 area. So if you want to look into that car a little bit, you can look up like 1963 or 1964 Eldorado concept car, and you'll see some pictures of what I'm talking about with that side vent design. So yeah, I think we got some good stuff accomplished this week, filling some of those holes and doing some of that rust repair, and we got some cool ideas for the future of this Eldorado. So go ahead and stay tuned into our next show, probably next week, and we'll tackle some more stuff on this Eldorado and keep on going along until we make ourselves a complete car. Until then, have a good one.